Thanks for your company on Summer Agenda. Well, Christmas is still a chance in Sydney, but thousands will remain in self-isolation as a list of venues potentially exposed to coronavirus grows. Our reporters are standing by to bring you the latest information. But first, here are the details you need to know. New South Wales has recorded 8 new coronavirus cases. 7 are linked to the Northern Beaches cluster. The other is a healthcare transport worker. A record 44,000 people have sought testing over the past 24 hours across Greater Sydney, giving healthcare workers a better picture of where the virus has spread. An additional 50 venues have been added to the list of potential exposure sites across Sydney. The full list can be found on the New South Wales Government website. Victoria is on alert after a returned interstate traveller tested positive, and Queensland is officially closed to New South Wales for at least 28 days. Let's bring in our team of reporters for more now. First to Charlotte Mortlock at New South Wales Health in Sydney. Charlotte, the Premier says she has faith in her state system.
And more good news today. On Sunday, we recorded 30 new COVID cases. Yesterday, it was halved to 15 and halved again today, down to 8. 250,000 Australians remain in lockdown on Sydney's northern beaches, and thousands more are in isolation after being listed as close contacts. But despite mounting pressure, Gladys Berejiklian refrained from locking down the entire city or state, saying this morning that she has faith in her team and our system.
It's not just to look at the health impacts, but societal impacts, what it means for the greater population. You have to assess the medical risk against the risk of other things which will harm the community. You know, there's also an element of holding your nerve. If you have confidence in your processes, you have confidence in the strategy, you do also take that into account.
Yesterday, we set a new record in New South Wales with 38,000 tests. Today, we broke that already. The new record is 44,000 tests in a 24-hour period, an incredible effort by New South Wales residents. The New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian says that she's exceptionally grateful to all those people who have come forward for testing, but also to the healthcare workers on the front line.
Can I also take this opportunity to thank the health workers and other allied support teams, support crews who are allowing us to do that number of testing. The pathology units who are working through the night. There are hundreds and thousands of staff across the state working 24/7, sometimes in very difficult circumstances.
So 8 positive cases today here in New South Wales. 7 are linked to the Avalon cluster on the northern beaches. One of those is unrelated. They believe at this stage that the person contracted the disease when they were transporting an infected family into a healthcare facility after they returned from overseas. Now, that person's partner has also tested positive and they will be included in tomorrow's count. It does mean that over the past few months in New South Wales, we have had 6 separate incidents where we actually have people that have become infected from returned travellers in hotel quarantine. Now, New South Wales is really carrying most of the weight when it comes to our returned travellers across the country. And as we start to see the infection rates increase overseas, the risk is even higher for those returning travellers here in Australia, and particularly in New South Wales, that it might leak out into the community. The Chief Health Officer, Dr. Kerry Chant, said that her team is always reviewing the system.
We don't have any evidence that there's fundamental changes in the viruses that we've been encountering. We have worked very quickly to look at all of the aspects of that might have been associated with that transfer, but the person did transport 3 infectious patients. We will just look at whether there are any breaches, and sometimes those are inadvertent.
All eyes will be on the Premier's announcement at 11 a.m. tomorrow to find out exactly what Christmas will look like and whether or not the Northern Beaches lockdown will be extended. At this stage, they are set to be coming out of that lockdown at midnight tomorrow. The New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian and the Chief Health Officer Dr. Kerry Chant have pleaded with anyone in isolation that may have a test result that's come back in negative to remain isolated if they are a close contact, because often patients only prove as infectious on the second test conducted on the 10th day.
OK, Charlotte, thank you.